we have this happening in the country. I mean, from the psychological perspective, what are the causes that push young people in the country, young women to be specific, to the allure for wealth? We have seen happenings or instances with which it has also led to catastrophe like the murders that we have had in the country. And also, to be on the fair point, it's vis-a-vis what happens on the other end, because we also make sense of young boys, young men who are also venturing into that arena. I mean, what are the causes that psychologically push them to that extent?
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for having me. There are two angles to that. One of them is the very obvious one, the issue of the peer influence. And peer influence happens not just among the adolescents, but across all ages. We are seeing a trend and a push where everyone, young people specifically, because it's our context for this morning's discussion, wanting to be like every other person, or if it is the girls wanting to look like the other girls who appear to be doing very well and having everything nice and good working for them. And so there is the push to, I'll do whatever it takes in order for me to fit in, because then I look cool if I am fitting in. And for me to fit in, it doesn't matter what I am going to do, whether it means going around with a bit older men. Also, what we are seeing on the social media, a lot of it, you know, the young girls, the socialites who look like they are making it, and young people want to emulate them just because of the social status that they are in. The other angle, from a psychological point of view, we are talking about women, goes back to the developmental stages and what was happening, especially the first 6 years of life. And for a girl who didn't grow up with a father figure, and let the men listen to this, for a girl who didn't grow up with a father figure in their life, at that age 3 to 6, girls want to be close to the fathers and to identify with the fathers. And it is at this point where now they develop that bond. And for this girl who did not have a father figure in her life, grows up with that void and that gap. And when they get to adolescent and slightly after adolescent and into the young adulthood, they are actually looking for the father that they never had.
There's that absence.
There's that absence. Just like the boys 3 to 6 will grow very, very close to their mothers, and they want to identify with that figure. When they get into the adolescence and, you know, late adolescence and young adulthood, then they will be looking at a very unconscious level for the mother that they never had. Okay,
Betty Adera, before I come to you, allow me to say good morning to Job Akuno, who joins us on the set, is adolescent HIV expert, EGPAF Kenya. Good morning, Job. Thank you so much for making time. Of course, the traffic is not a piece. No, don't worry. Betty Adera, social advocate for peace and justice. I mean, this puts into context the advocacy for the justice for what's done in the country. I mean, the country is at large coming to terms with the gruesome murder of Sharon Atieno, who, according to information at hand at the moment because of the investigative purposes, has had contacts with the county leadership in Migori County. But as well, equally, it is a general blanket issue that also affects young women at the universities and also young men at the universities. I mean, how well do we need to advocate on that particular matter, in the sense that we inculcate the discipline in the young people so that as they grow up, I mean, from the institution of the family, then outside there, they do not attracted or enticed or get enticed to the sweetness of the other part? I mean, and the likelihood of the consequences we have at hand emerges as death. I mean, others are psychological warfare and other psychological impacts that live with the person in the long-lasting term.
Thank you, Abdi, for having me here today. And I want to first and foremost start by expressing my extreme condolences to the family of Sharon, and to appeal to my fellow Kenyans to accord that family the privacy that they need to mourn Sharon and eventually bury her. And coming from Migori County myself, this is a matter, you know, that touches me, you know, to the core. Now, for me, I think I would take a much broader, more structural approach to this particular issue. And first and foremost say that I condemn in the strongest terms possible, you know, the murder of Sharon. Many people have showered her with all manner of things, you know, that are not very nice. But think about it this way. This is somebody's daughter. This could be your own daughter. This could be your own sister, your own niece, your own friend. And I think for me, I look up to the system to ensure that everybody who was involved in one way or another is brought to book. Now, having said that, Abdi, for me, I want to look at it from a perspective of a young woman just doesn't happen to be in an institution of higher learning.
Okay.
All right? She was born somewhere, she grew up somewhere, she learned things or should have learned things or should have been taught or protected.
Okay.
Same to the young boys as well. And we see that the minute they get to this higher institution, they sort of like tend to start living a double life. You know, at home, they pose this type of a face.
Okay.
Back in school, they have a different, you know, type of face. And many parents, you know, look at their young women, and especially young women, who start bringing in income. They're building for you a house, and she's buying you a car, and she is a student. So for me, I take this war back to my fellow parents, me being one of them.
Okay.
That what are the kind of values are we that we are inculcating in our young people? Can we begin to redefine the value around money? Can we begin to redefine what success means? Because what it means to me is different, you know, for everybody.
Yeah.
And to young people in this generation, I think we need to converse carefully and tread carefully with them to understand properly the kind of values that society expects to see around money.
Okay.
So that when you're defining yourself as successful, what does that mean?
Okay.
Does that mean you go to any depth, you know, to look for this glamorous life?
Okay.
Does it mean you don't care how you get this money, but you get it anyway? And I think it also speaks to the broader society, what we are seeing happening in the country, all these corruption cases, glorification of economic thieves in this country, you know, and young people begin to want to be like them, begin to want to emulate them. And I think we need a national dialogue around this.
Okay. Betty Ndano, being a student at Riara University, and of course being a university student for that matter, I mean, university students, both male and female, are on the spotlights pertaining this particular happening in the country. Of course, to be fair, also young men have been allured on the other part, but it hasn't been as scandalous as young women are. But as a university student at that level, are you having the honest and the candid conversation around this and the happenings in the country pertaining young women and their allure for wealth? And how honest is that discussion with your other colleagues at the university?
Well, thank you, Abdi, for having me here today. We are having these discussions in our institutions, but it is not in the way that is supposed to be. It is more of young girls in the university want to live a certain kind of lifestyle because of social media, because of the pressure of the social media. So people want to live a certain way. So the discussion is not candid per se. It is more of, it happened to us or whatever, so life moves on. But it is not supposed to be like that. It is supposed to be an awareness that they should be aware that they are in school. Let them depend on the process. Finish the school first, then now maybe look for a job and start from somewhere. Because as is right now, everybody wants to get there really fast. Because you see your friend is driving this car, you see somebody doing this and this thing, so you want to get there as well. Really, really fast. Nobody wants to believe in the process. Nobody wants to start from scratch and build themselves up. And as Betty said, parents are not making it easier because it's kind of they're like glorifying this kind of lifestyle. And they're not questioning their children to know, where are you getting this kind of resources? How are you living this kind of lifestyle? I'm taking you to school, I'm paying the school fees, but they're not keen to know, how is it that you're getting where you are getting? How is it that you're getting these resources? Where are you getting them from? They are not concerned. In fact, they're praising it, which is a really wrong thing.
Job Akuno, battling HIV, I mean, this is a national disaster. Two, we have a discourse at hand. I mean, what's happening in the country to young men and women is equally going to be of detriment or having consequence on the broader society. How will we approach this from an angle of being possibly a parent or being a statesman to address this problem at hand? Because at the end of the day, it's going to be having a societal degradation effect.
Yeah, thanks, Abdi. And let me just state that I work for Elizabeth Glazer Pediatric AIDS Foundation, abbreviated as EGPAF, which is largely an organization working on issues of children and adolescents when it comes to matters of HIV and AIDS. And just listening to the conversation that we're having today, I think we are looking at one side. I come from a community that has a saying that before you blame the chicken, you must first of all chase away the mongoose. So everyone is now focusing on Sharon.
Okay.
Sharon is a victim in a society where, you know, we are not looking at the sex exploitation that comes with it, because we are looking at a situation where we have older men with the money who are using the power of the money to then influence the decisions of these young people who are still growing, who need support. So the conversation ought to also be in terms of what are we doing about men, because the structure of the society is around men and how we form the notions of what these relationships are about. And so if a man presents money as a mode of, you know, communication and influencing these girls, we also need to have that strong conversation, because it's not any different from a man who is using their position in the office to really take advantage of a lowly tea girl. So it is the same conversation. Now these girls who are growing up, naturally every one of us wants to be successful. And therefore, in light of this conversation about our measures of success, there is also these men who are taking advantage of their positions, be it positions in terms of the role they play in the society, or be it the position in terms of you know, the powers that come with those offices, or the power that comes with the money. And so this conversation, apart from the death, Sharon is just a case that now highlights the death. But it also exposes these other girls to violence. It exposes them to, you know, HIV and other ills. And therefore, we need to open up this space so that we also just don't focus on the victim, but also focus on the perpetrators and what kind of a value system we are having in men. And of course,